takes a whole team, so yeah, definitely a group effort. Good to start? You can hear both of us? Can you hear Dom too?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
You're a funny
All the
guy.
levels are good, nothing in the red, everything in green.
Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video and tuning in. I'm your host, Brady Carducci, and the man to my left, he's a Toronto-based audio engineer. He's worked with artists such as Anders, Johnny Vinyl, and Ali Gatie, just to name a few. So welcome to the show, Dominic Okune. How's it going, buddy?
Hey man, how you doing?
No problem, thanks for coming on, man. So I wanted to kind of get things rolling by talking about how you cultivated your passion for music. So how did you cultivate your passion for music? Was it kind of all around your household, or was it something that you cultivated by yourself?
Honestly, it's pretty crazy because I don't come from a musical background at all. My family comes from it's a medical family.
Okay,
I was
studious.
supposed to be a doctor, but I'm not. I'm a doctor of sound. I think why I have such a big passion for music is because of my dad always loved music. He was always listening to a lot of music, and like he would come home and he would just like blast music the whole day. And that kind of what got me into music, just listening to it and like hearing all the melodies and all that stuff, got me into it. And on top of that, I started I was always into music. I started playing playing piano when I was like 6, 7 years old. So basically like almost my whole life I was doing it.
What type of music would you blast in your house, like your father?
Everything, man. Like from hip hop to like classical R&B to like some Nigerian music.
Okay.
I grew up in Poland, so I was always also influenced by a lot of like European music and all that. So I would listen to music from like all around the world, to be honest with you. You know, British music. I love British music. Like that was like one of the sounds from like, you know, back in the day. But yeah, it was a variety of different sounds.
That's good. You kind of got the whole plate of different sounds. Which is nice.
That's why my sound is so all over the place, because I just like put everything
You take from so much.
one pod and just like created something, you know?
Yeah. So what sparked your interest to be like a musical engineer in particular? And did you start out maybe as like a producer, and then did you transition to engineering, or were you always, your mind was set on being an engineer?
As I'm saying, I think I was 6 or 7 years old. When I started playing piano, I was I was into it. I always liked the melodies and just like I liked the whole concept of playing it.
Okay.
And I was doing that until I was like probably 13 years old. And when I was 13, I started getting more into soccer. And I was like, yeah, fuck music.
Go soccer
here.
Yeah, no, you're cool. You're good.
I was like, fuck music. I was just focused. I want to be a next, biggest soccer star. Now I was playing, but like after 2 years, I was like, I can't just leave. So I started playing piano again. And I started like, me and my brother and my friend, we started like just doing music together, just like, production and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And then when I came to Canada in 2006, I was like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. Meanwhile, I guess it was like when I was 16 years old, this is when I found out that I found out about audio engineering when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And I did my research and I was like, oh, that kind of sounds like what I want to do in life.
Right, it sounded interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like back in the day, like audio engineering was such a under the table thing that if I would never heard about it, I would not even know that it exists.
You'd go right by it.
Yeah, because people never even spoke about it. Like, when I was in Poland, I didn't really have anybody to guide me. I didn't have any type of guidance. So it was like I had to do a lot of stuff by myself on my own to kind of figure out how it works and all that stuff. Okay. I went to, I also lived in UK for a little bit. So I was supposed to go to audio engineering school in UK, point blank. But then I ended up coming here.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Yeah, but then I was also supposed to go to Medeiros. So it was like one of those back and forth things. Like my life was pretty crazy at that time. So what was the question again?
No, it was just, you answered it. You're good. I asked you how you got into musical engineering and stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. So yeah, there's so many information slides. But yeah, that basically what happened. Yeah, that was basically what got me into it. I always loved music. I was doing a lot of production before, but what I found myself doing, work on the production, I would spend much more time on the actual, mixing stage.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I actually prefer like moving, faders and
around,
like
yeah,
EQing stuff and compressing stuff. I just found it more entertaining for some reason,
Okay.
even though it was much more boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was why I was like, like audio engineering is
That's
what I
your
want
thing.
to do.
Awesome. Now, for someone who may be watching, would you be able to explain what exactly a musical engineer does and how they contribute to like the whole music creation process?
Oh man.
If you can, I know it's a big question.
No, it's a big question. I'll try to answer it as much as I can.
Okay.
I feel like for me, I'll speak from my own perspective
Yeah.
because everybody's different. So what I say, I might be right, I might be wrong, but in my opinion, audio engineering is a lifestyle.
Okay.
Like for me, it's more than a lifestyle. It's a philosophy. It's kind of like I was able to apply everything that I've learned in audio engineering in a real life, and then everything that I've learned in real life I apply in engineering.
Oh, interesting.
So for me, it's almost like both of the worlds are connected. Not to objectify people or anything, but when you have a certain compressor, it does this and that. But then in a real life, you have a person that might be equivalent of that compressor, and he would be responsible for doing this and that, if that makes sense. So
Okay,
that's kind of how I look at everything. When it comes to what audio engineers do is, I feel like good audio engineer is gonna take over the record in a sense, connect the dots in a sense, connect the vision of the artist, of the producer, and add a little bit of their own personal sauce to bring everything together.
So is that why they call you, like, you got the name Dot?
Dot, honestly, like Dot comes from my full name. It's just like first letters of all my full name, which
Okay.
is Dominic Okune Tassin. But I had to like Dominic Tassin, which is my second name, and Okune, which is my last name. But I had to like switch it, so it's
sounded
Dot
good.
instead of DTO.
Okay. Awesome. Also, too, when you were learning audio engineering, is there like a course you took, or was it all self-taught? Like, how did you go about teaching yourself?
As I said, I was supposed to do an audio engineering school in London first, but then I got here, so I was supposed to go to Medeiros. But at the time, I was already doing music. Again, I don't think I got anything against schools. I don't think I do, but like I'm a type of person that I prefer to learn everything myself as it goes. I don't like to wait for anybody to kind of wait to do this and that and that and that. So for me, it was most definitely a self-thought process. But I went to like a lot of like seminars or any type of things that I could have gone to. I did.
Okay.
But at the time, I was also back in the day, I was working renovations construction. So it was a hustle.
It's
It was
a tough job,
It
man.
was a grind. It was like I would literally spend all of my checks on audio equipment. So I would go work for like 12 hours, and it's like waking up 5 a.m. in the morning, getting into the job like 6, 7, and like being there to like 5 would be ideal time, but
Yeah.
many times, especially working with these guys was a different experience because these guys love to work. They love to do
Workaholics, yeah.
Like they love to work, but they love to do stuff that I don't like. I'm a workaholic too, but like I don't want to do this shit.
Oh, okay,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Like I don't want to like put no drywall and all that. This is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
But we go somewhere to a job and these guys are like 5 p.m. I'm like, can we go home?
Yeah, like
they like, oh, we gotta finish the day. 1 more hour. Next thing you know, it's 9 p.m. Okay, we going home. So okay, we going home. Shower, eat, and then like nighttime, I would literally just sit down and just like compress, EQ, and all that stuff. So I was like, I would always make sure that each day, even though I was working full time at the time, I would always spend at least 3-4 hours,
on your craft.
on my craft. As much as I could. So yeah, basically I had no life for a couple of, I would say, good 3-4 years. I had like no life.
But man, like that's like a sacrifice though. It's kind of what it takes. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's like if you want something, you gotta sacrifice.
100%.
Nothing comes for free, and I don't regret it. And I feel like that builds a character, and like you appreciate the whole thing much more.
All right. I can see that.
I'm like, I think it's the way how I was brought up to is like I always was taught to work for what you want.
Yeah.
So like I don't mind doing it. Like I still work, like I work I try to take Sundays off
Okay.
most of the time, but
Doesn't
it's
always
kinda
happen?
tough. Like, yeah, like I had time. I had time when I was working literally 7 days a week. I would have like 1 day off once a month,
Wow.
and I was going 7 days a week every day for like.
Did you have burnout?
I did. I ended up in the hospital.
Oh shit. Okay.
But that was a grind, you know. I was
Yeah.
literally working, man, anything from 15 hours a day sometimes. The longest day I had, I remember, I started my day at 11 a.m. and I finished 7 a.m. the next day, no breaks. Session
Oh
after
my
session
God.
after session. The grind was real. You know what I mean?
I don't know how you do that.
I don't even know how I did it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I did it, so.
Red Bulls, I guess. Eh?
No Red Bulls,
No Red
man.
Bulls?
It was, I think that whole experience made me a different person because like I never, like I would always like, you know, eat and all that stuff, but I never looked after my health as much as I do right now.
Okay.
I feel like I burnt out because I just wasn't in the right state of mind. I wasn't, you know, paying attention to a lot of things. I wasn't listening to what my body is saying, what my mind is saying. I was like just stubborn and it's like I can do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like when you get to the point where it's like you see that everything is like moving, but you know, we always want more. We always want more.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't want anything to like pass us by and stuff. We want to, you know, grab the whole thing. So I was trying to grab the whole thing, you know, and that was especially when I opened 669, which is my studio. A lot of great things happened in a very short period of time, and I just didn't want those things to, you know, I didn't want to lose any of those things, right? And on top of that, obviously, you know, I think running the studio, especially in the beginning, is like any other business. Like it's a lot of bills to pay.
Yeah, it's a lot on your plate.
A lot of stuff on my plate, and
Yeah.
I think for me was when I opened the studio, I had to expand within 3 months.
Oh wow.
So it's like I would have the top floor, and then 3 months in, I went to my landlord, and I'm like, I need the second floor. You know.
It was growing that quickly.
Yeah, I was like, it went just very, very quick. It was 2015 from what I remember. And like 2015 was like that year in Toronto that everything changed. You know, like, especially on the independent level, a lot of artists started popping up and all that. In the actual city, like people in the city started looking like, oh, we actually have a music
so-and-so.
scene.
Yeah.
Because before it wasn't like that.
No,
you know?
not at all.
So yeah, that was just a very, very busy year that a lot of things happened.
So speaking of artists popping up, who was the first artist that you worked with and I guess believed in you and your ability as an engineer? And can you describe, I guess, the mindset going into working with that artist and maybe working on you know, a particular project or single or whatever you worked on with them?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to that question, that was when I was still in Mississauga. I'll speak from like the very, very first artist that we actually established relationship and we're working together, and we made like a project and stuff.
Okay.
His name is Ryan Field. At the time, he is a singer. He was also an actor and stuff. So he was doing music. He reached out to me, and we kind of like, you know, just linked up. He liked what I was doing and all. So like, yo, let's work, you know, let's see what we can do. And we came out with a, you know, cool project as for the times and all that. It was a good experience for me, even though before I was working with other people as well. But that was like the actual thing when I was like, hey, we are doing the whole thing together.
Okay.
So it was a good thing that I would say it was a good project that gave me a certain experience to do things certain way. Because before it was just like, you know, people just come and go and kind of like, yeah, let's record this and that. And
It was
do
like
this and
temporary.
that. Yeah, it was. I feel like it was temporary, but it was also temporary because I wasn't really feeling the vibe.
Okay.
Many times, you know, it's like people always come and go.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of person that's like, you can tell whether somebody is serious about something or just like
They don't really care.
fooling around, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always serious, and like I think with that particular project that we were working on, it was just different. It was a different sound, and I always like to experiment, you know. So
Okay.
I was like, yeah.
Really, I guess that part about it piqued your interest to want to build the relationship more and commit to it.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, speaking from that first artist, you now work with a lot of established artists and up-and-coming artists within the industry. Like I mentioned earlier, Anders, Levi, Ali Gatie, to name a few. So how did you go from working with, you know, that first artist to working with, you know, a whole plethora of Toronto artists and beyond?
Man, being an engineer is like being a miner. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It's like you just gotta go to the dirt and just look for diamonds, you know what I mean?
and mine
Like,
away.
you gotta mind yourself through, you know. I mean, you know, people always reach out to me. I guess by now it's much easier because people know my work, and you know, luckily, you know, this year I got like Juno nominated, and I got my first plaques, like, you know, platinum plaque, gold plaque, and all that stuff. So those things most definitely help. I'm not necessarily a person that cares about
The
like
accolades and stuff?
all the things. Like obviously the goal is to have at least one Grammy at some point.
Of
you
course,
know?
yeah.
But I feel like, for me, when it comes to working with artists, is I know when it comes to me is like I hear the potential.
Okay.
So I'm the type of person, when I hear something, I'm like, even though it might not fully be there, I'll be like, I want to work on it.
You can because you feel like you can cultivate it?
Yeah, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of the you know, creation. I'm most definitely much better being an engineer that creates the sound with the artist and like is a part of it than like an engineer that artist comes as like, I want you to mix it that way.
Oh, okay.
I feel like there's a different ways of doing things, and like I'm very bad at following directions. I'm very bad. Like I'm not gonna lie. That's why it's like even when the schooling and all that stuff is like I always had issues with not necessarily issues, but like when teachers talk, it's like I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah, you
don't
don't want to
listen.
follow that way. You want to
Like
do your
yeah,
own
it's
way.
like because
Yeah.
my head is like there's so many things going on in my head.
Yeah.
So I feel like when I work with artists, like when I work with Ali and stuff, yeah, with Ali, I would say Adriano was a big part of his sound as well. And the way how we worked together, we just kind of understood, you know, what type of sound it's gonna be, and like he trusts me with the sound as well.
Okay.
Adriano trusts me too, and I feel like because at the time when we started working, obviously I had a much bigger name than you know, Ali. Like nobody really knew Ali, nobody knew Adriano.
Yeah.
So they trust me with the sound, and when somebody trusts me with the sound, I'm like, okay, I know what I can do with it, because obviously I've been doing
And you have
it.
that freedom to do what you want to do with
Exactly,
it as well.
I got the freedom. Like they would tell me like, do whatever. Like if you know, I feel like it's yeah, do whatever. But it's like if we gotta change something or you know do something certain ways, like I'm always open to like changes. It's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
I just want to like build the core and then we all work on it. It's like it's not like I just take it and I'm just like, hey, this is what you guys, you know.
It's
this is
just
what I
you.
have.
It's just you doing
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
It's not like I'm just gonna give him something that's like this is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like. I like when it's a part of the creative process, the whole thing, and I feel like communication is a very, very important thing. The worst thing is when you know, I can mix the record and I send it and like I don't get any reply. I don't know if it's good or if it's bad, you know, or like it's like I feel like the communication in the whole process. If we can communicate quicker we communicate, quicker the job is being done.
Exactly.
It's just a very simple thing. If there's no communication, it's just like it's gonna take.
You're waiting there
forever.
like, okay, like is this good? Is this bad? Does
Exactly.
he like it? Does he not?
And the thing is that you can mix one song in millions of ways, because there's nothing. I don't think there's a right and a wrong when it comes to music and mixing, because like it's all about preference and your style.
Okay.
You know?
Is there, now you say that, but is there fundamentals though? Because you know, all sport, like for example, soccer, there's soccer fundamentals. Like is there fundamentals when it comes to engineering that it may not be the correct way, but there's still a certain way it should be done? Does that make sense?
I mean, whatever sounds good, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Nowadays, I feel like we live in a very interesting times, you know? We live in times where people that can't sing are singers.
Right,
We
yeah.
got people that can't rap are rappers. People that have no clue about like, you know, musical theory are producers or something. So I feel like we already breaking so many rules that, you know, maybe in the 80s, 90s, it's like, yeah, don't go to the red, don't make this, don't make that. Like there were certain rules when it comes to music. Nowadays, it's just like, if it sounds good, it sounds good. I feel like I was a little bit more careful with a lot of things because I was like kind of following those rules, like, oh, you always got to have your faders and mine is this, or like, you know, the bass needs to be cut this way, or like, you know, cut hi-hats, everything below 200 hertz. You know, there's people online that say a whole bunch of foolishness.
Yeah, that I
and like, you know, as when you're young, it's just like, okay, like this guy knows this and that and that. But as I was, you know, getting older and I understood it, I was like, you can't follow certain things or what people are saying because everything is different. You know, every sound has its own feel, character, and this and that and that. And like some people like bright vocals, some people like the, you know, warm vocals, some people like stuff very compressed, some people like stuff very dynamic. So there's so many different, you know, things that you can go with. So I don't think there's like, yes, there are rules, but at the same time, I broke so many rules this year, and it still sounded good.
Yeah.
I mean, I broke a lot of rules with mixing Anders and stuff. Because Luca doesn't. I don't think this guy believes in rules. Like,
He's the same way you are, I bet. Eh?
yeah, I mean, he made me that way.
Oh,
like,
okay,
you know what I
he
mean?
molded you.
I mean, kinda, not really, because like I was doing a lot of stuff like outside of the box already, but like certain things is just like push this. I'm like in my mind, I'm like this shit is distorted. Like this can't be good.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I sent him the mix last time, and I was listening to it back on my way home. I have it in my earphones, and I'm like listening. I was like, nah, this shit can't be good. This is like this shit doesn't sound good. It can't be good.
Mm-hmm.
I get the message in the morning. It's like, yo, this shit sounds fire. I'm like, yo, I don't even know no more.
I don't believe you.
I don't even know no more. I don't even know what's good and what's bad. But it's a preference, right? If it sounds good, it sounds good. And sometimes I would do things, and I would think like, oh, maybe it's not. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I don't know if it's good or bad. But then it grows on me. Because at the end of the day, it's like painting. Right? It's like, it's the same principle. You take colors and you just like blend it and you do this and that. You might have a different type of,
type of paint.
Like a hue of green, let's say. And you look at it, it's like, I've never seen this green. It doesn't look like green. But then you kind of look at it, it's like, you look at the whole picture and it's like, hey, it makes sense why it's like that. So, that's kind of a thing, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense, totally. Speaking of Anders, I want to cue in on your work with him, because you've done a lot with him, obviously. You engineered 669. Did you work on twos as well?
Yeah.
Worked on twos, and then most recently Sticky Situation, and then My Side of the Bed.
Yeah.
So working with him, and I guess the whole team, how have you, because personally, like I'm obviously a fan of Anders, I listen to his music, so I've noticed from 669 to obviously to now to his most recent singles, there's a progression and growth. So I want to know from behind the scenes, the creation process, how do you guys consistently like up the bar and come up with these ideas that are, like unique and just kind of elevate his sound as well as your engineering talents at the same time?
Oh man, this is a long question.
Yeah,
we've been working for, what was it, 3 years? When did 669 drop?
I want to say 2016.
2016.
Right?
Yeah, it's been a minute, but we've met before, prior to that, obviously, before the project dropped. I would say, working with Anders, I would say the whole NST, it's like, I love everybody, all of these guys are amazing. Everybody work hard. I feel like that's why the way how we work together, it works because each one of us likes to work.
Okay,
if that makes sense. It's like, and everybody plays their position, so it's a very easy, it's a very organized work. It's obviously there's deadlines, this and that, always stress. Like it's just part of the process, right? I would say when it comes to work, I mean, each project is a little bit different. I gotta give it to Luca, Solomon, and Francis. Because they do a lot of work when it comes to production. Like these guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, they do.
They're great producers, amazing producers, and amazing people. So the process is a little bit different on each project. It's a little bit different on each song. Certain times, sometimes it's like I'll track with Anders and like Lucas in the room. Sometimes Anders tracks at home, or sometimes he's like working with Lucas. It's like there's not like one way of doing things. Each song might be a little bit different, right? I feel when it comes to just progress and the whole thing, how we can take it from one sound to the next sound to the next sound, is just each one of us just works. I feel like each one of us wants to be better than we were yesterday.
Okay.
And like we very critical. Each person is very critical.
And there's not to say that there's egos involved, but one person won't have a problem and be like, hey, you know what, I don't really like this sound, or I don't like the way you did that. They're very forthcoming in terms of criticism.
Yeah, I mean, criticism is just part of work. I mean, it's just part of life. I think it's sometimes we bump heads, but we don't do it in a bad way. As I'm saying, like there's a lot of rules that sometimes are being broken. I think each one of us has some type of idea of the sound that we going for, or we going with. I know what I like. Anders knows what he likes. Luca knows what he likes. Francis knows what he likes. Solomon knows what he likes. So it's like it's everybody got a little bit of their own preference when it comes to that, and we just try to like put everything together and make it work.
Okay.
I don't think there's like any egos involved and all that stuff. It's like we just know how to communicate, and we take it one by one. You know what I mean?
and just make it work.
Yeah, we just make it work, you know. Like there's a lot of songs that we did, like, you know, that we were like, oh, this is the banger, and then it's like, okay, it's like this song is scrapped, this song is scrapped. We changing this, we changing that, like we changing the drums, we changing the kicks, or like, you know, there's always things that happen, but it's just a part of the process, you know.
And it was funny too because we actually we interviewed Jack Roy, and he was saying, I forget what song he was saying, but he was saying there was some story where you guys they had some deadline for a song, and apparently Anders, and I think he said you literally recorded it in like 15 minutes. So how's like the workflow? Do you guys get done fairly quickly, or is there certain things that take longer than others?
I mean, that was sticky situations. I think if that's what he was talking about, maybe it was different.
It was something like In For You. I forget the name of the song.
You For You?
Yeah, You For You. It was that song. I'm pretty sure that's the song he said.
You For You, that was in 669, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Or maybe he got the song wrong. Maybe he meant...
Honestly, there's stories like, okay, when it comes to 669, I was up till 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning messaging Derek. It's like, yo, you know, I send you the updates. Like, listen to this. It's like, we got to change this and that and that. So you're just going back and forth.
Right,
there, like, I think it was, I don't remember what, I think it was pretty warm. So it must have been like either springtime or maybe summertime or something. All I know is like I'm in the studio 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning messaging Derek this and that, and like I think Anders was sleeping already, so it's like just me and him is like trying to figure it out. I think it's like that was like, I know that it was supposed to be uploaded the next day, so like everything was supposed to be done like that day. So I was just like trying to like master everything so everything is good to go that day. Kind of the similar situation happened with Twos, even though we had a little bit more time. There was a lot of masters. I think I did like multiple masters on those on the songs. Like I remember Rain particularly. I literally mastered it like 7-8 times. Which at the time was a lot, but right now is not actually a lot. Like this is just a standard right now.
Okay.
When it comes to like doing stuff the last minute, I remember when we were doing Sticky Situations, I mixed it a little bit, but Francis wasn't really feeling the mix of the instrumental because I got the stems. Originally, it was somebody else mixing it, but then the mix didn't sound right, and they just like messed up the vocals, and like it was just a lot of like foolishness happening in that mix. So it's like I was trying to remix it, but I had the stems from already printed stems from the other guys, whoever was mixing it. So the instrumental just didn't sound the way how it was supposed to sound. So Francis came, it was, I think it was Friday, and the deadline was Friday, 11 p.m. So he came at like 6.
Jeez.
So, you know, the vocals were like, he sent me the dry vocals, so I was able to like tweak all the vocals, get everything done, and I was like, I'm looking at him, I'm like, Francis, so what we doing?
Yeah, how are we gonna tackle this?
It was like, fam, I got a 2-track. I'm like, all right, give me the 2-track. He's like, do you want stems? I'm like, bro, it's 6 p.m. We ain't got time to mix stems right now. You know what I mean? It's like, we just don't have time. So we ended up just using the 2-track. But it already sounded good, you know? Francis is a great, amazing producer. He knows already the sound that he's going for. So it's like, when he mixes something, it's already where it's supposed to be.
Okay, yeah.
You know, yeah, I can take it, tweak it a little bit, but like, he knows what he wants to hear. So I just took a 2-track, just put it in and kind of tweaked it, finessed it, and just make sure it sounds good. And I mastered it at like 10 p.m. and sent it out to Derek, and it was approved. And it was like
a big weight off the chest.
Yeah, it was like 30 minutes to the deadline, you know?
Oh, man.
But like, it worked.
Yeah, you got in on time, right? So that's all that matters.
I got it on time, and like, you know, I think people are enjoying the record. So.
Yeah, I personally like it too. So not only do you do in-studio stuff, but I know you contribute a lot to the live performances.
Yeah.
So I'm actually curious about this as well, but because a lot of people don't know like what goes into a live performance, but I want to just speak towards, in terms of your role, we'll use Anders as an example, in terms of the artist and then you as the engineer being on stage. How do you guys prepare for a show, and what's the process you guys go through in order to put out a good product?
I feel like by now we pretty much know how we do things. But like before, when we were preparing for the shows, we would do like, you know, rehearsals and this and that and prepare the set. Many times, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, what set are we doing tomorrow? And like, you always gotta be ready. I always gotta be ready just to like make sure I can switch it and all that stuff. So I got everything on the hard drive always ready to go. So yeah, the way how we prepare, it's just like, yeah, once we on the stage, it's like, it just happens to be honest.
It's organic.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like the first show I did, like, you know, being behind him and doing all the engineering, DJing and all that stuff, I was like, fuck, I've never done it before.
Yeah,
so
it's
like
nerve-wracking.
But then it's like, I just got used to it. So it's like,
Okay.
he's doing this thing, you know, I'm like, I'm just in the cut. So I'm
Yeah,
like, nobody's
you're chilling,
looking
yeah.
at me, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm just in the cut making sure everything is how it's supposed to be. You know, sometimes, yeah, we have like, you know, certain things like mic cuts of or something, but many times it's like, you know, I'm not redoing front of the house. I'm doing like more of a DJing work. So it's like I always try to set up everything, you know, good for the show. But like, man, shit happens during shows.
Yeah,
You know?
no, it does. Yeah,
like,
I can imagine.
you know,
yeah.
sometimes like some type of frequency interference is happening or something. Like, there's always something. We last year when we got the mic, you know, Anders bought like the whole thing, the whole setup for live shows and all that, and we had the mic, and it's an expensive mic, and every single time we had shows, it would just keep the connection would drop.
Oh, no.
And we like, what the hell is wrong? Like, it's an expensive mic, you know, everything was tested and like it works, it doesn't work and all that.
Yeah.
So we took the mic to the guy that does the distribution and all that. It's like, oh, those mics are reliable, they never break, this and that, you know?
Right.
So I'm like, hey, let's try it. Like, you're here right now. Let me like put this shit out here and let's try it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, he's like taking it and he's like close to the receiver. He's like trying it 1-1-1. It's like, it's working. See, that's what's going on. I'm taking the mic, going a little bit further, bam, the mic drops. And he's like looking at him, he's like,
That shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, come here and just like, you know, we tested it. It's like, oh, I guess there's a faulty mic. So then it's like he switched something, did some settings, and it ended up the actual, it was like a manufacturer's thing. It was the receiver inside of the mic that was broken or something.
Oh, okay.
You know, so things happen during
Yeah.
shows,
Stuff
right?
you can't control either.
Yeah, there's things that you can control, but like, you know, he's a good performer. Anders knows what he's doing. So, you know, when things happen, he knows how to like, you know, handle it.
Of course. So I kind of wanted to switch gears a bit now. I know a big topic of conversation right now in the industry is, I don't want to say like producers not getting respect, but I know there's a big issue around producers not getting paid on time, whether that be from managers or from labels. So I just wanted to know from your end as an engineer, if you've experienced anything like that, and if you have had any comments on.
Yeah, I got finessed.
Oh yeah, okay. I wasn't expecting that.
I think when it comes to, you know, music industry is an interesting industry. Obviously, there's a lot of people that, you know, promise you things. There's a lot of talking going on. Everybody's just yab, talking this and that. I'll give you this and that, promise you this and that, you know? And it's like, it's not only engineers, producers, you know, artists, like everybody got to experience a little bit of it. I feel like, you know, yeah, I got finessed 1-2 times, but I'm much smarter right now. So it's like, I don't play that shit no more.
Right, yeah.
You know, but I feel like many times it's like, when you're still trying to like establish your name, you allow certain things to happen because you care more about the credit and the work than you care about money.
Yeah.
And I feel like even for me right now and stuff, it's like, I love doing what I do, you know? Money is important, most definitely. I feel like a lot of people pay too much attention to it. It's like, you got to find the balance of like, you know, what you have to pay attention to, what can kind of slide, but there's so many different ways of going about it. But when it comes to going back to like producers not getting paid, engineers not getting paid, I mean, there's artists that never got paid.
Yeah.
You know, for like getting like a lot of streams too. Like, it's such a big thing, and you know, record labels are out there left and right signing artists, giving them the shittiest deals that are possible.
That's
you know?
true, yeah.
It's like artists would sign deals and they would get into debt
Right
even
away.
though they signed, you know what I mean? Like, things happen. I would say it's like having the right people around, people that explain things and how everything works is very important. I don't think it's, you know, everybody got to learn. I'm pretty sure every single person in the music industry got finessed at some point and didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Like, it's just what it is. Like, I don't think any of the people that I know around me were not finessed. Every single person like got finessed in some way. You know, so it is a part of the industry, unfortunately. But I think it's like, as long as you're not getting finessed all the time.
Consistently, yeah.
You know, there's people that just keep getting finessed all the time. So it's like,
But then at the same time, if that's the case, that's on them at some
yeah,
point. You know
that's
what
like,
I mean?
you just gotta be smarter than that, you know what I mean? And as
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, sometimes, the thing is that you might not get paid, but if your work goes somewhere and gets that, that traction or that numbers, technically, okay, you didn't get paid for that, but you're still getting paid
in other ways.
Exactly, because your name is out there, and it's like people, it's kind of like free promotion.
Okay.
In a sense,
Yeah.
Sometimes like, when you do your marketing and all that stuff, it's like you gotta pay a lot of money for it.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
And sometimes you did this and that. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of producers that had like the biggest bangers and this and that probably never got a dollar out of it. But because it was such a big hit, they were able to be like, if somebody approaches them, it's like, yo, I want a beat from you. It's like, oh, $5,000, $10,000, this and that. So it's like, okay, you might not get paid for this, but just because you didn't get paid, you still got to know how to use it. Unless it's like you getting something, you just like work on the whole album that never goes anywhere. Or
Right,
like
that's a different
you work
story,
on
yeah.
something that never gets released, or like, there's certain things, situations that happen that, if they just counterproductive and like they don't lead to anything, then it's like, yeah, you get finessed.
So then, I guess a follow-up question to that would be: are you a big proponent of engineers doing work for free to get the, like you said, to get the placement rather than going forward and getting the money when they're trying to establish themselves?
I feel like it's a tough question because you gotta ask yourself. They gotta ask themselves a question: am I worth the money that I want to get paid? I
Okay.
feel like a lot of people, and I don't think it's only engineers. There's a lot of people that they want to get paid this and that and that and
Yeah.
that, but it's like they're not on that level to get this type of money yet. It's just what it is, like you can't compare yourself to a person that is here and here and here with this many credits or this much work, and you never done that work, but you like, okay, I want to charge this and that and that. I've seen people like, maybe not recently, but a couple of years ago, that they will be like, yeah, I'm an engineer, this and that, and their setup is like Mbox and a microphone and a computer, and they want to charge like $50 an hour.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, they trying to finesse somebody or they trying to finesse themselves, because it's like, there's levels to when it comes to that. There's levels to this. You know what I mean? So, I think everybody should get paid, most definitely. But at the same time, it really comes down to whether you're worth the money or you're not up there yet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Right? It's like I don't think that there's nothing wrong with. There's a lot of guys that are willing to do work for free. If somebody's willing to get to that point, it's like if you gaining a good experience with something and you're not necessarily getting paid, but you know that after that, whatever it's a project, song, this and that, you gain a lot of experience. It's
You gotta weigh it out.
yeah,
and see.
you gotta weigh it out. Exactly. Like in the beginning, like I did a lot of work for free.
Yeah.
Like I would get paid for some. I would get like I wouldn't get none for this and this, but like it's just a process. It's just what it is.
Yeah, you kind of gotta deal with it and then push through it, and
Exactly.
you'll see results at the
Exactly.
end.
I mean, yeah, it's just you can't expect.
Making the big bucks right off the bat. Right?
Exactly. Especially like experience is where the money is.
Yeah.
If you don't have experience, you just can't be talking money.
Yeah, that's facts right there. So with the amount of success that you've had so far as an engineer, is there anything within your craft that you feel that you struggle with and you're really looking to improve upon?
Oh man, I feel like any type of creative person always deals with the same thing. I'm never good enough. I feel like it's a process for me, and I understand where I'm good at, and I understand what I need to improve.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that, one day I can finish something, I can finish the mix, and I'm like, it sounds so fire. And the next day I listen to it, it's like, it's garbage. And the thing is that the final say really comes down to an artist. Like even
Right.
today, I was working on the record, and the song got approved, and it's on Spotify and everything. I'm not gonna say no names and all that, but the song was released like recently, and the manager, the artist approved it. Everybody's happy. And I'm like, hey, I'm good.
Right.
I go on Spotify. I listen to it. I'm like, man. Oh, no, man. Oh, no. And it's not the mix. The mix is perfectly fine. I love the mix. I was like, it's just, the thing is that the artist wanted to do a certain way. And I was perfectly fine with it. And I did it. He was happy. And like, he was actually very happy with the mix. But I wasn't.
Right. You were like, oh, I could have done this better, could have done
It's
that
like,
better.
it's just one of those, it's a personal thing. It's like, I
Yeah.
just felt the record can have a little bit more energy. So today I was like, fuck it, let me do it. I literally did one more master. They did not expect anything. They didn't expect the new master. They didn't expect any updates or anything. And I just sent a little message. I'm like, look, this is one more master because the song was released like almost a month ago. Like it's,
Oh, okay,
it's
so it's
past
been
the time.
out.
I got paid everything. Like
Yeah.
I did is like, again, I'm not getting paid for it, but it's like, it's not about the money for me right now. It's about, I have to be happy with the product that I give to people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I sent him a little message. And I'm like, listen, I felt like the song needed a little bit more energy. I was listening to it on Spotify, and when it comes in, it's like it just doesn't give me the energy that I'm expecting from a record.
Okay.
Try it, you know. Here are the files. If you can exchange it, replace it or something, maybe use it for the video. It's my personal thing to just like sleep. Like I couldn't
To
sleep.
sleep
'cause
at-
of that.
oh, really?
Like
Okay.
I was in my bed and I'm like,
It's haunting
should
you.
I do it? And I'm like, I don't know if I should do it because then it seems like kind of like, oh, I fucked up the first time, even
Right.
though I didn't because
No.
it was already approved. But in my mind, I'm like, I need to make it better. You know, so
Just for your own peace of mind.
yeah, so I feel like it's just a part of the process, you know. It's like I know what I need to improve, and like I always try to improve every day. Every day is
It's a nonstop journey.
exactly, you know, like the frequencies that I hear today are completely different than the frequencies that I heard like 2 months ago. Like the way how I hear music today is completely different.
Changes.
So it's like I feel like many times I would like hear the record. I feel like being just very critical is a part of the, you know, the process that helps you be better and grow and all that stuff. But yeah, just I guess being critical is really what it comes down to. I'm my biggest critic.
Yeah.
It's like I love my work and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah. It's a happy medium. Of
Yeah,
both,
it's like
guess.
it's like sometimes like I don't even know if it's good or bad. I'm just like I think it's good because people like it, but in my head I hear something else. I'm just trying to like figure it out sometimes. I'm not confused. I know where I'm going.
That's good. That's good. So for people who are just starting out and they're interested in becoming a musical engineer, or already a musical engineer and want to take their skills to the next level, what advice would you give them? And is there anything they shouldn't do if they're looking to get established in the industry?
Oh man, my biggest advice is just keep going. I feel like, you know, audio engineering, production, I mean, being an artist, being a songwriter, anything creative, being a photographer, you know, videographer, anything that has to do with any type of creative field is like only the strongest survive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this is not the field. Like any type of creative field is not for weak people. It's not for weak-minded people. You know, I feel like I would say reading helps a lot.
Reading, okay.
Yeah, reading audiobooks, like just being better as a person and just understanding your worth and what you have to go through helps a lot. You can't only focus on one thing, which is music.
Yeah.
There's so much more to it. You know, you got to be a smarter person to be better with whatever else you're doing.
Okay. So a lot of internal work, you're saying.
Internal work is very important. You know, I mean, eating properly, you know, taking care of yourself and just making sure you're good
The
here.
mental,
Because
yeah.
I feel like, you know, I would speak from a music perspective, is one of those fields that is gonna either make you or break you.
Okay.
You know, it's like there's people that have been doing it for like I've known people that have been doing it for like, you know, 10, 15 years. They weren't able to do anything with their music. I know people that did it in like 1, 2 years, but the difference is that a lot of people that weren't able to do anything for, you know, long time, 10, 15 years being in the music is because their state of mind is
It's
not the
what it
right
needs to
state
be.
of mind. Because I've seen people I stopped working with a lot of people because it's like, I can't be working with people that don't want to self-improve.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not about that life. I got like a lot of stuff that you know, I want to make sure that every single thing that I do is better and better. So if somebody keeps like, if this doesn't work, take the core, take what you want to take, improve it.
Yeah.
Whatever is unnecessary, cut it. There's people that literally think that they're gonna make it doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. They would have like one song and they would roll it out the same way millions of times thinking that it's gonna work.
Yeah, because it worked that one time.
Or like maybe it didn't work
at all. Yeah,
and
that's
when
true.
it didn't work, they want to do exactly the same. I mean, they want to release something else exactly the same way, but it didn't work before. You know, so I think it's about just being focused on your craft, most definitely, and just you know, it's all about just being better and self-improving everything, not only yourself, but you know, the work that you do as well.
Awesome. I agree with that. So what are I know obviously we're already in December, time flies, but what are some of your plans for the new year? Do you have any goals or things you'd like to accomplish come 2020?
I mean, hey man, 2020 is going to be a legendary year.
It's a big year, man. It's a big year.
I mean, I got this numbers in my head. It's 30-30, 20-20, 6-6-9, and those are the numbers that I'm going for in the 2020. I don't really want to say much what I want to do and what I want to achieve, because I feel like there was a lot of great things that happened in 2019 that I was like hoping, aiming for, but I never said it loud, but they happened. So I'm the type of person, I don't like to say what I'm gonna do. Okay. I would just keep working until it like happens.
You're more of you let your actions speak for
themselves. Yeah, let the actions speak for themselves. I'm the type of person that would like be in the studio literally 12, 14 hours a day and just keep working. That's the type of person that I am. So I'd rather work, and I don't like to talk too much, even though I'm talking a lot today. But yeah, I don't like to talk too much about what I want to do and where I'm gonna get. All I gotta say is that I'm working on a couple of things. I'm working on a couple of projects that I'm excited about. Working with a couple of new artists that I believe in. And again, I think like I'm pretty good with finding people that have something interesting in them. So most definitely, there's a couple of artists that I have very high hopes in, and hopefully I'll be able to like get them to at least some type of good exposure, some type of buzz. I mean, not only me, because it's everybody's working. I'm just part of the process, but I feel like me giving them the sound and giving them direction is something that is gonna improve everything as well.
Awesome. So now for people who want to get in contact with you, book you, work with you, or just learn more about you, where can they find you at?
My Instagram is probably the best thing, which is .theengineer, .da-engineer. That's probably, you guys can put like a little thing.
Yeah, we'll put it in a little graphic.
Put it right here.
Where his hand
is. Like right here. So they can click on it,
Literally. Awesome. Alrighty, man. So that concludes the interview. Dom, thanks for coming by, man. Really appreciate it.
I was trying to do the
All right, well, we're going to redo that. There we go. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned.
Thank you.
What a way to end the video.
Do you want to redo that?
Do you want to
redo the ending?
I feel like that'd be kind of funny. People would get a good kick out of that.
Let's keep it organic.
Yeah, organic.
It's like a little bad note, but it works,
Yo, you know what it was? I was like, okay, I'm like, is he gonna go for the handshake or the dab? I wasn't sure. That's funny. All right.
Good.
Cool. Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you guys.
No, I appreciate it.
Sorry, I was talking so much. Probably.
No, honestly, dude, it's good. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in the show. If you want to stay up to date on everything Real Collective, it's at A Real Collective on all social platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.